Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and this is a custom video for David. All right, he writes, "Hello, Austin. I'm from Germany, and I'm an avid fan of your channel, and I especially enjoy your watch shopping videos in Tokyo. I need your advice on my next Rolex purchase and which watches I should retire from my current collection. Back in 2019, I sold a lot of my cheaper watches and started collecting luxury timepieces. I have a great relationship with my authorized dealer, and my family has been purchasing watches and jewelry from them since 2004. All right, so just since 2019, for the past 2 years, he's been buying, as we'll see, quite a few luxury timepieces. He's got 12 high-end timepieces, so that's an average of 6 per year. So he's been buying a lot of watches. Now, before we get into what he has, let me just read this part because it's pretty important. Everything in my collection was bought from my AD, and everything that is not a Rolex or AP has been bought with at least a 20% discount on MSRP. And here's the kicker. Since the beginning of the pandemic, I have invested all of my savings into watches, and every watch in my collection has risen in value. Wow. All of his savings into the watches we're about to see. And we often talk about the investment potential of watches. And here's somebody that's really taken that seriously and put all of his money into watches. And I could make a whole video about the wisdom or lack thereof of such a move, but this wouldn't have happened, and he wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for Rolex. Thank you, Rolex, because, for what new Rolexes sell for on the gray market and the vintage and neo-vintage watches sell for, and the value retention and the having your $5,000, there's a reference to what I thought was a great advertisement for using a bit of savings for a high-end watch. And the investment potential and all of that, it obviously influenced him. And, whether it was a wise move or not, I'll let you guys weigh in. But obviously, you want to keep at least a little bit of your capital liquid, because if you need to get to your money and it's all tied up in watches, you're going to have to panic sell. And that's when you get screwed on prices. And every time you sell a watch, particularly through eBay or the internet, you risk being screwed out of it, having it stolen. And you got to think about where you keep your watches. If you have your money in watches, well, they can be stolen. So I'm hoping that he has these in a safety deposit box. And you got to think about service costs and the emotional attachment. And so it's not like buying some stocks. And so arguably, it's maybe a little bit more fun, certainly the shopping experience. You get to wear your investment, but interesting that people are doing this. What do you guys think about that? My current collection consists of a Rolex Explorer 214270. That's the 39 millimeter time only Explorer. He bought that July 2020. And again, all of these are new pieces, so box papers, new from the AD, except for one piece. We'll see. A Rolex GMT Master 2 126710 BLRO, the ceramic GMT Pepsi, and he bought that February 2020 on his birthday. A Rolex Submariner 114060, and that's the 40 millimeter ceramic no date sub, bought that December 2019. Another Rolex Submariner, this one with a date, the 116610 LV, that's the Hulk, the green Hulk. Bought that December 2020, so a year after buying the no date sub. And again, all new, all right? And then we get to the pre-owned Rolex that he has, just one, a Rolex Turnograph 116261. He writes this is an F serial, so it'd be a 2003, 4, or 5. Bought it from Chrono24 for 6,500 euros in August 2020. Came without papers, but it was serviced through RSC, so he's got service papers, next best thing. And then we get to his non-Rolex pieces, an AP Royal Oak 15450. That's a 37 millimeter watch he bought in May of 2020. An Omega Speedmaster Professional Sapphire Sandwich, bought September 2019. An Omega Planet Ocean with an orange bezel, bought that August 2020. A Cartier Santos Blue, purchased May of 2020. And 3 Grand Seiko, an SBGH 269, an SBGM 235, and an SBGY 003. All right, so first let's just talk about his collection overall. It's a beautiful collection. It's a fun collection. I mean, a lot of different brands: Rolex, Omega, AP, Grand Seiko, Cartier, and this would be a fun collection to have, and a lot of fun pieces to wear, a lot of steel stunners. He's got the dress watch in the Cartier, and arguably in the two-tone turnograph. He's got a little gold in that two-tone as well, a little bling. He's got a chronograph in the Sapphire Sandwich. That's beautiful. And a GMT function watch in the ceramic GMT Master 2 Pepsi, and quite a few dive watches, a lot of wearable watches, and yeah, this has to be a fun collection to own. Keep in mind, we're looking at his savings account here, all right? Now, he continues. I asked for a 116500 white dial Daytona in December 2020, but my AD told me that they sold the last one they had and I have to wait until next year. So this year, 2021, he's waiting for that. Instead, they offered me the last 116610 LV Submariner, the Hulk, and I obviously bought that watch, as you should. I mean, if you're ever offered at an AD a steel watch, or particularly a steel professional Rolex, you buy it first, and then you take it home, you look at it, and then you decide if you want it. So that's good buying. You should have done that, especially if you're thinking in terms of investment, which you are. He continues, I will get the Daytona in 2021, but they could not tell me when exactly, which is fine. Just, allow them to get it. You have a good relationship with your AD, so just be patient. Since all of my funds are currently in my watches, I am considering selling some of them, and that's what happens when you put all your money in watches. When you do need money, you need to sell a piece. So what is he going to sell? All right, well, he writes, I'm considering selling the black Submariner for around 10,000 euro in order to fund another Rolex. So he's going to get rid of the 40 millimeter ceramic no date sub 114060 to get another Rolex. All right, well, look, if you don't have the funds for that Daytona, that's priority number one. So before you run out and you get another Rolex, you make sure you have enough money to buy that Daytona when it comes, all right? Now, assuming you do, what are you going to get? Well, guys, this is what he's going to get. He writes, with the money I would, and this is the money he would be getting, the 10,000 euro from flipping the sub, I would purchase the Yachtmaster 40 in stainless steel with the blue dial, the Oyster Perpetual 41 with the turquoise dial, or the Datejust 41 with blue Roman dial, or the Wimbledon dial, all right? Now, is a good idea to sell your Rolexes? Well, I generally say no. I think there are 3 good reasons. Number one, because you hate a piece, all right? Well, you probably don't hate the sub. I mean, you probably bought it because you liked it. But if you're sold a watch that's a sought after model and you try it, but you don't like it, all right, flip it. That makes sense. Make a little money. Get out of it if you're not enjoying the watch. Or if you just need the funds, okay? You need to free up capital because you're in a financial pinch. Kind of sucks, but that makes sense. And then the third reason is to upgrade or to get a piece that you think is going to make you happier. Now, you got to be really careful because the grass is always greener on the other side. And it's easy to look down at a watch you've been wearing for a long time. Here you have it in your hand and you think, yeah, I've had my fill of this watch and I'm ready to move on. And I think this is the answer to all my problems. And Oftentimes it's not. And so a better strategy is to add the piece, okay? Add that Yacht Master. Wait a month, look at them side by side. And if you still want to get rid of the sub, get rid of the sub, okay? But to sell something to buy another thing, you're not in a real good frame of mind because, again, you're not appreciating the piece you have because of the familiarity, and you're probably over appreciating the piece you're going to get because once the novelty wears off, then, well, it kind of goes downhill from there, right? And so be really careful there, okay? Be really careful. And as far as the pieces you're talking about getting, I mean, look, they're colorful pieces, certainly fun and different watches. And I can imagine looking at the sub and thinking, yeah, the Yacht Master 40 with the beautiful blue dial and red accents. And, that's a beautiful watch. And I really started to understand polished middle links with that watch because it is a perfect balance of brushed and polished surfaces. And of course, that blue dial and the beautiful red accents and the date and the rotating bezel. It's a fantastic watch. So I would be tempted if I were you as well. But in terms of that watch, it's not as desirable. So if you like it more, that's fine. I understand. But if you're going for investment potential, you're making a bad move there. And as far as the other watches, the OP41 with a turquoise dial, that's kind of new and exciting. But again, would I flip a sub for that? Absolutely not. I mean, I think people are worked up about that watch now, but I think desire is gonna wane on those watches. And at the end of the day, it's an OP. All right, it's just a time only OP. And so to flip your sub for that OP, I wouldn't do it. And then as far as the Datejust 41, again, beautiful blue dial or the Wimbledon dial, but it's a Datejust. So even if it's a Wimbledon dial, then I don't know if it's going to go for more. Now, the rumor is, and it's a total rumor, is that they're going to discontinue the Wimbledon dial at some point. And they probably will because it's a pretty, it's not a run-of-the-mill dial. So I can't see it lasting forever, all right? And is that price really going to shoot up when that happens? Yeah, I mean, retailers are going to up the price on that watch. Fools are going to then decide to go out and buy it. But really, if you have one, are you going to be able to make a killing on it? Not being a brick and mortar shop selling to idiots, selling on eBay? Probably not. Probably not. You're probably long term, even if that happens, better off with the sub. But again, you're probably thinking, well, these will hold their value, but it will be more interesting. My guess is you're probably a little bit bored, which is crazy because you've been adding 6 watches per year for the last 2 years. But again, you're talking about really colorful, fun watches versus kind of a boring sub. So I kind of understand, but just be careful. What I would do, again, try to decide what you want, add first, and then you'll be in a better frame of mind to decide if you really want to let go of that sub, all right? But as far as all of the pieces you talk about, in terms of the pecking order of Rolexes, they're quite a ways down than your sub, all right? So proceed with caution. I don't think I would do that. I certainly wouldn't do it for the OP. Certainly wouldn't do it for the Datejust. But that Yacht Master is beautiful. It is beautiful. So if you're thinking of it in terms of just what you would rather wear, I probably would rather wear the Yacht Master, to be honest. But in terms of flippability, desirability, pecking order, the sub. Okay, you're better off sticking with the sub. All right, there you go with that. And he said, I tried on the Blue Sky Dweller, but it was too big for my 16.5 centimeter wrist. And, that's one of those watches that I don't think I would like to own or have, but would I buy it if I found one at an AD? Absolutely. And, some people would say you should have bought it and flipped it. You could have made thousands. You could have paid for an OP. Again, selling watches, easier said than done. Never done it myself, but there's risk involved. Easier said than done. And plus, you got a good thing going on with your AD. So if they find out you flipped that, or if they find out you flip your sub, be careful, because they could decide to cut you off and you could be in a world of hurt. So what should you do? Going forward, you know what you should do? You should wait for that Daytona, all right? Especially since you got all your money wrapped up in watches. And so in that sense, you want the watches that have the most investment potential. And by far, that would be the white dial Daytona. So wait. And if you are going to go for these, what I would call lesser pieces than the sub, just make sure you're doing it purely out of passion, because financially it's not a good move. All right. And as far as your other pieces, what would I sell? You say that all of your pieces have gone up. My guess is that all of your Rolexes have gone up, and that if you really were to sell any of the other pieces, you would at best break even. Okay. Each line has a certain number of watches that go for more. The very first Snoopy with Omega, or the Patek 5711. I mean, look, Patek's a pretty strong brand, so but the 5711 is quite an exception there. Or the Grand Seiko double branded Snowflake. As far as the pieces you have, I mean, to really get out of them, you'd probably at best break even. So going forward, if you're going to be using your savings and stuff, stick to Rolex. Don't buy Omega. If I had known beforehand you were using your savings, I would have said just only Rolex, okay? Because you got a lot of savings now wrapped up into Grand Seiko and Cartier and so and the Omega. And so be careful. It makes for a great collection, though. All right. Does it make for the best use of your savings? Probably not. But you got a great collection, a great collection to wear, a fun collection to wear. And I would view it as a sort of a collection of sub collections. 5 Rolexes, the three Grand Seikos, the duo of Omega, and and then just the Cartier and the AP. And so he lists some other watches later on that he's thinking about getting, the Daytona being one of them, 5164 Patek, 5712 Patek, that's a Nautilus, an Aquanaut. Look, if you can get those, and he says he's on a wait list, sure, that's great. Get those. But I think you're good with any of those. But the Daytona possibly will come sooner. So just make sure you have the capital for that. And going forward, I would stick to only sure bets financially, because again, you're using your savings. So I think you're done with Omega, perhaps not a Ed White, okay? Maybe not the Snoopy, but try to flip it quick, because I don't know if it's really going to hold its value. But on the whole, I would say, you're done with GS, you're done with Omega. You need to make really prudent decisions with your money going forward, and that means some of these Pateks, if you get them, the Nautilus, the Aquanaut, or the Daytona. But again, fun collection. I don't know how to feel about having all my savings wrapped up. I gotta say, man, you got balls to do this, especially during the pandemic when a lot of people thought, luxury goods are gonna tank. So it worked out for you. Going forward, maybe stick to the Rolex. David, thanks again for the custom video request. Enjoy your watches. It's a beautiful watch collection. Be sure you keep them in a safe place. And guys, let David know what you think about his choice to put his savings in watches and his choice of watches. And what do you think he should do going forward? Hey guys, you can't go wrong with a white dial ceramic steel Daytona. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. David, you've got access to an authorized dealer. It's 2021, 50th anniversary of the Explorer 2. I'm thinking it's going to be coming out soon. Why don't you stop by your AD, get him to put you on the list for this yet to exist Explorer 2. You'll have the first right of refusal. That might be worth picking up. And
other punters probably haven't done that, so you'd get first shot at getting that watch.